Hey guys, it's Ellie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is about thinking in English. A lot of people keep asking me that, Ellie, you always advise us to think in English, but you've never made a video and told us how you can do it. So I think, that is a fault on my part. I should be doing that. So that's why I'm shooting today's video. So in case you have been wondering about how you can think in English, this is the video you must watch. The most important factor for learning any language is to be surrounded in an environment of that language, and that actually makes the process easier. I know it's not possible all the time, but if you succeed in surrounding yourself in an environment that speaks that language, you will be successful to a great extent. That is exactly the reason why when a child grows out of his homeland, he actually picks up the language of the other land first and his homeland later, because he's surrounded in an environment. I am Bengali, but I grew up in Odisha, so the first language I learned was Odia. That's because even though my parents are Bengali, everybody around me was speaking Odia. And I was much more comfortable as a child to speak Odia. And I felt so awkward when I was speaking Bengali initially because I had no attachment with that language whatsoever except via my parents. And that exactly happens with you when you are speaking any other language. If you are surrounded in an environment of that language, you will automatically learn and start thinking in that language because everybody around you is doing the same. So how can you surround yourself in an environment that speaks and thinks in English? Number one, by enrolling in some app or course that will help you learn English. You can converse with people, you can talk to people in English. Sometimes they know better than you, sometimes they are not as good as you, but they'll be doing the same thing that you are doing, learning English. And that will help you so much in learning English faster than you normally would do if you were studying from a simple book. When you're surrounded in an environment, it's an interactive process of learning, something that school education does not emphasize on. So you have to do that yourself, despite paying for school education for more than 12 years of your life. Second thing that you should do for thinking in English is listening to English songs and listening to what people say in English serials and movies. One show that helped me a lot, actually two shows, they are How I Met Your Mother and Friends. These shows helped me a lot in learning English, in speaking in English, and in thinking in English. I saw them a lot when I was a teenager, and before that my English wasn't good, but after I watched those serials and did some things alongside, my English improved considerably. I could not speak in front of a class, and after I did all these things, I was much more confident than I used to be, because now I knew how to converse, now I knew how to think in English, now I knew how to practically say anything to anybody depending on the situation, because I had been surrounded in an English environment all the time that I was back home. In school, most of us used to speak in Bengali, that is our mother tongue. But when I was at home, I was watching English serials and listening to English songs and watching English movies. So my environment at home was an English environment, and that helped me considerably. And if you're doing the same, it will help you a lot too. I think How I Met Your Mother and Friends are very good shows to watch. They are very entertaining. And in case you go for them, just let me know how you like the series, because I'm a huge fan of this series, and they helped me so much in improving my life and my English. Third thing that I did when I was improving my English and trying to think in English is cut off my association with friends who only spoke in Bengali. Now, I was not a social person when I was in school. That probably helped. I'm not saying that stop mixing with anybody. Just don't waste your time talking to people if you know that they are speaking in a different language, and right now you need to surround yourself in a different atmosphere. I'm not saying just don't speak to the ones who don't speak English. Speak, but for 2 or 3 months when you are trying to grasp the process of thinking in English, just cut off your connection with them for a while. You can tell them directly that you are trying to learn and then just stay away from them, or you can just maintain a distance for a while and then go back to being normally friends. But when you are learning, it's very important to be dedicated to the cause And in case you have friends in your life, actually most of the times you'll see that friends do waste a lot of time. In case you have friends who are in the same situation as you are, it's amazing, but most of the times most of us are very, very different, and being in such relationships actually causes you more harm than good. So at least when you are learning something new, if you know that this relationship will be hindering your process, will be slowing down the rate of your productivity, just stay away from it for a few months, and when you are done with the process, just go back to the friendship, and maybe you can also teach your friend how you speak in such brilliant English. And this is not just for English, for any other thing that you are learning that may require staying away from people who are not in the same field themselves. Now, what I did was I stopped spending time with them for a few months, and I only used to read books, and I used to read them aloud. Not so loud that I'll be disturbing the whole class, but loud enough so that I could hear it myself. So when I was reading the book, I would hear what I am saying, and then I'll be thinking whether I said the right words, because a lot of times when you're reading from a different language, you make a lot of mistakes. And if you're rectifying your mistakes, your brain is actively participating in the whole process. You're thinking in English, you're thinking whether a sentence you're speaking is right or wrong. You're matching the sentence you're speaking with the sentence on the page. And that is a very amazing learning process. I have no idea why people don't do these things in school, because these are so amazing ways of learning English faster. It just helped me so much when I was learning English, because English is so easy to learn when you're reading books, because books have an assorted variety of sentences that you'll be needing every day in your life. And reading books just fasten my process of learning English. So I highly suggest that you read books when you are trying to learn English and start thinking in English. My whole channel is about books, and I have recommendations from various genres of books, so you may want to check them out. And I really think that my channel will be helpful for you no matter which genre or which type of book you want to read. And in case you want to read audiobooks, that is, if you want someone to read to you, I have a 30-day free trial of this app called Storytel. The link is in the description below, and they have some amazing books to read. Books will not only help you expand your knowledge, but when you're listening to the audiobook, you will be listening to the English sentences and you will be processing them in your mind, and you'll start thinking in English eventually if you're listening to audiobooks all the time. But one caution, just don't listen at a very high sound. I generally play audiobooks in front of me and not in the headphone, because that is harmful for your ears. You'll not notice that now, but you'll notice that harm 5 or 10 years later, and it is an irreparable damage. So don't do that. Listen to an audiobook by keeping it in front of you. The 30-day free trial is in the description below. In case you want to cancel the subscription after 30 days, just do it immediately, because otherwise you'll have to pay $2.99 per month, which is a very reasonable price in case you like the app. But in case you don't, make sure you're canceling before your subscription ends at 30 days. But I really hope that you will like it, because it's one of my favorite apps. And I really think that listening to an audiobook helps you a lot in interacting with the language and surrounding yourself in an environment of the language, especially when you're traveling, because when you're traveling, people will be speaking the language of the city. No one will be speaking in English, because I travel in a public bus, and most of the time the buses are so crowded, everybody is hurling abuses at each other. No one has the decency to say, oh my God, this person is stepping on my feet. They literally curse you. And I don't think you want to be surrounded in such an environment in case you travel for hours, and audiobooks will help you a lot in this case. Now, the last tip that I have for thinking in English is write something, and don't tell me that you don't write. Like, I can say that I don't write because I don't, but you should not tell me that you don't write, because when I was learning English, I wrote a lot. I had a page on Facebook which I deleted where I used to write shit. But the thing is, it was helpful. It was helpful for me to start learning English and start improving English, because when I was writing sentences, I was narrating stories, my brain was working to think in English, to translate what I'm thinking in English so that I can write it immediately. And I could write after 1 or 2 months, I could write immediately what I thought about, because when I started, I struggled for hours to write the correct words and sentences. But after 1 month, I saw that I have improved considerably, and that was exactly because I was writing every day. When you are trying to think in English, you must be working very, very hard. So make sure that you're doing all these things that I've asked you to do, and you'll see a considerable improvement in your life. Now, in case you guys want this video in Hindi, just let me know in the comment section below, but I am planning to make one, and in case I make the Hindi video, I'll be attaching the link in the description below. So make sure you check it out and make sure you're demanding the Hindi video so that I can know whether you want it or not. I made this video in English specifically because I'm talking about thinking in English and surrounding yourself in an environment of English. So I thought that if this video is in English, it might help you a bit more than it will if I spoke in Hindi. But let me know if you did not understand any parts of this video so that I can help you better by speaking in Hindi. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. In case you guys enjoy my videos, make sure you're becoming a patron on patreon.com. Patreon is an online website where you can pay monthly to your favorite creators so that they can keep creating content. Creating content for you on YouTube requires immense amounts of energy and time and money, and if you're supporting us, we can just improve our whole game. So just do become a patron in case you want to. Patrons enjoy several exclusive benefits like getting behind the scene photos, getting emails personally from me, getting even books per month delivered to their doorsteps. So make sure you're checking me out on Patreon and subscribing to the Patron tier, which suits you the best, because I'd love to connect with you on a deeper level, because I love my fam and it's always not possible for me to reply to each and every one of you individually because the social media community is so vast. But Patreon community, as of now, my Patreon community is pretty small, and I have the chance of interacting with each and every patron. Especially if you have a lot of questions for me, interacting with me on Patreon will be much more hassle-free for both you and me, because other social media handles of mine are very, very crowded. I'm so thankful to Mohammed Izhar for being a patron for my videos. In case you guys like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. In case you want to tell me any tips about thinking in English, leave them in the comment section below, because I'd love to know your view. And if you have not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Do subscribe, because I make new videos every week. Until my next video, bye bye.